Hello guys, welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to create mongoose models and schemas. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create models as well as schemas in mongoose, right? So guys, I'm going to continue with this project, right? So I'm going to create models and schemas using mongoose in this project. So if you want to learn more about mongoose schemas, you can see my previous video, right? As well as I will add the mongoose website URL to this video, okay, in the description. So to create models, what you have to do is you have to create a folder called models, right? So whenever we develop an application, right, it is not advised to have all the code in a single file. We have to separate it with different folders so that it is easy for us to maintain as well as to understand the code, right? So I'm creating a folder called models. Inside it I'm going to say it as expense.js. Okay, expense is nothing but so consider I'm developing an expense management system. Okay, so I'm naming the model as expense.js, right? So before importing mongoose, I'm going to look whether mongoose is installed already. Yeah, it is already installed and it is available as a dependency here. Okay, so the version is 6.6.1, the latest one, right? So I'm going to the model. I'm going to import mongoose. Const mongoose equal to require mongoose. Require mongoose const expense schema is equal to new mongoose.Schema, right? So inside it we are going to create the schema. So the schema is nothing but a set of rules, right? So we are going to create the columns that are required for our application. Okay, and also we are going to set some rules for these columns so that our application follows this set of rules and does not allow the values that do not match the schema, right? So let me create a column. Okay, so I'm creating a column called total budget, right? So total budget is what so total budget is nothing but the what, say your salary, your monthly salary, okay, or the amount you're going to spend for the month. Okay, so I'm going to say, so it can be like this, total budget string, it can be like this. Okay, so the next column is going to be spentFor. spentFor is going to be number, right? And the next column is amountSpent. Sorry, spentFor is going to be string because the reason for your spend should be string only. So amount spent is going to be number. Okay, the amount you spent. And so day is going to be, sorry, day so day is nothing but the day of that week. Okay, so I'm going to say string because it will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like that. And date is going to be number, right? So every time date will be the date format, I mean the date data type, but here I'm going to pass only the date. I mean let's say today's date is 10/18/2022. This date field is going to hold the current date alone, okay, not the whole date. So I'll say it as number, and the next column is going to be month. Again, this is going to be number, okay, and the column here, and this is going to be again number, and paid type, okay. So how you paid that particular amount, okay, what is, so it is going to be string, and your remaining amount, I mean from the total amount, the amount you spent, you minus it, and the remaining amount is going to hold your remaining amount, okay. So number, right? So after this, I'm going to say, I'm going to export this model. So by module dot exports, this is nothing but the default export, okay. So I'm going to say mongoose dot model of expense, okay, expense schema, right? So what I have done here is I am exporting this schema, right? So I have set a set of rules here. Rules, total budget should be a string, spentFor should be a string, right? So I've set a set of rules here, and I have set that rules to a model called expense, right? So once I have set the schema to this model, right, I'm doing a default export so that this schema will be available throughout our application. So from anywhere I can access the schema, from index.js, from db.js. So if I create one more file, I can access this model from anywhere, since I have exported it as a model with this name, okay. So what I have exported is this schema, this particular schema. Hope you have understood it. So I'm going to go deep into this schema, okay. So yeah, so now total budget is going to be like this. So I'm going to say type string, okay, type is going to be string, but budget is always number. So total budget is nothing but the total amount, right? And I'm going to have a required field. So I'm going to say this is a required field. So if I say required true, this is a one way. The other way is I'll create an array in which I'll say this is a required field, as well as the message whenever this validation is failed. So whenever this field is missed, when you pass data to the database, okay, to this particular collection, when you miss this field, so what is the message you're going to show to the user, right? So that message will be given here. So total budget is required, okay, perfect. So the next thing is spentFor. So spentFor again is going to be type string, okay, and this is also going to be a required field. So required is true, and reason for spent is required. So whatever error message you want to show to the users, we can have it here, right? So the next thing is amountSpent, right? So it is going to be type number, okay, type number. So you can set the max here, okay, the maximum amount you can spend every time. You can set that here. So for the number data type, there is something called max. So I'll show you. Max length. Yeah. So it is here. Yeah. So whenever you have a number field, okay, you can set the max limit so that you can restrict users from passing a number more than this max limit. Okay, so you can restrict users from passing a value that is more than this max limit, right? So once it is set, it will not allow the user to send data to this schema or the collection, okay, more than this max limit. So I'm setting it to 2000 rupees, right? So it means the user cannot spend more than 2000, or this amount spent field in this expense collection will not accept more than 2000, right? And also you can set min. So min is going to be 100. So you cannot pass a number less than 100, also greater than 2000, right? Hope you understood it. So I'm setting this also a required field. It is going to be true. Amount spent is required. Perfect. Yeah. And day is going to be type string, so I'm not going to have anything. Or you can do one thing, is you can have a enum type string. Okay, enum is nothing but what is the value, okay, you're going to pass. So enum is nothing but it will allow only the values that is specified in this array. For example, so when I say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, so when I set enum as Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and if I pass Thursday to this day field, it will not allow, I mean this schema will not allow the value Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so enum is nothing but the default values that this field can accept, okay, whenever the data is passed to this collection, right? So I'm not going to pass this because we'll have only 7 days. There is no other day in a week, okay, and date is going to be number, month is going to be number, year is going to be number, and paid type is going to be string, right? Perfect. So yeah, it's going to be type string, and I'm going to set enum here. Okay, so the first thing is going to be cash, and the second thing is going to be card, right? Can be of debit, credit, right? And now the third thing is going to be money transfer, okay, and for, yeah, it's having 3 values. So I'm going to set the default here. Default is going to be cash. Okay, so it means when the value is not passed to this field for this paid type column, okay, so it will take the default value as cash, right? And also it accepts only these 3 values. It cannot accept any other values other than this 3 values, okay. and remaining amount, right? So I will leave it like this, remaining amount, right? And spentFor, in spentFor I'm going to say maxLength. So for the string type we have something called maxLength. Okay, so maxLength, when I set it to 200, it will not allow the values more than 200 characters, and minLength, when I set it to 10, so it will not allow characters less than 10, right? Perfect. So similarly we can have validations. Okay, so all those things we will have. There are many data types available in mongoose. Okay, so when I take you to data types, right? So yeah, so I'll take you here. Yeah, so these are all the data types that mongoose will allow, right? String, number, date, buffer, boolean, mixed, object id, array, decimal, map, schema. Okay, so these are all the data types that mongoose will allow. And we have something called unique, right? So when I say unique is true, right? So this column will allow only the unique values, right? So there cannot be a duplicate value for this field, right? So I'm removing this amountSpent. Okay, and so I'm going to have one more field called isActive. So just to show you a Boolean data type. Okay, so the type is Boolean. So you already know what is a Boolean data type, right? So it accepts true or false, and the default is going to be true, right? So the value is not passed. The default value for isActive is going to be true. Okay, and the other one more last thing is I'm going to say timestamps is true, right? So timestamps is nothing but the created and modified field. Okay, so whenever data or a record is created, we need created and modified information, okay, the later stage, right, to know when this field is when this data is inserted and modified, right? So we don't have to set a created column separately and its type as date. So mongoose give this option to set timestamps is true, and whenever it is set as true, right, mongoose internally maintains a created and modified field in every record, and the current date and time is inserted automatically whenever you insert some data to the database, right? So in the each record the current date and time is maintained. Okay, so have used the most frequently used schemas. Okay, the types, all these things are most frequently used. So there are other things available. Okay, so you can see this documentation. Okay, I will add it in the description, right? So it is not mandatory to know everything, right? So just in case if you need something, you can look into this documentation, and you can use it in your application, right? So guys, I've shown you how to create a schema, right, and a mongoose model, right? So I'll show you how to use this model and how to create REST APIs one by one in the upcoming videos. Okay, so we'll see in the next video, guys. Thank you.